Today I'm going to show you how to make children's mittens, how to knit mittens. Now I wanted to show you just some basic things about knitting in case you're one of those people that have never knitted anything before. But typically knitting is done with two long needles, a cap on the end, and a point, and they're straight needles. Knitting mittens is actually a very quick, easy project. It's a small enough project that you can be completed in a day, and you will feel like you accomplished something and you conquered knitting. And there's only 2 stitches to learn. But I wanted to just do a little sample knitting here to show you what knitting looks like, so that you can kind of understand the process. Typically when you're knitting, you will knit in one direction from one side to the other. Okay, so I finished that row. You would start on this side and you would knit across, and then you would turn it around and you would work on this side going that way. Now I want to show you the knitting stitch. One side looks like this, the nice clean side, and the other side looks like that. Okay, it's got a little more texture to it, and this is created by knitting across, and then when you turn it around you purl across, and then knit, and then purl. Now these 2 stitches we're going to be using to make the mitten, and I just wanted you to be able to see so that you can recognize what the stitches look like. These are knits. See the difference in the stitches? So you need to be able to recognize that. Okay, so to knit, insert the needle, wrap the thread around, it comes between the 2, and the needle comes down underneath, slide it off, okay, and we're just going to keep repeating that process. Okay, so we've just completed the knit row. Now we're going to turn it over, and our thread is on this side, and that's where we want it. Now for this side we're going to purl. Instead of going in from the front that way to knit, we're going to come in this way. The needle points towards us. The thread stays on the front side. Last time the thread was on the back. For the purl stitch, we just do the opposite. We're going to keep that, and we're going to let that one cast off. Oops, pull it a little loose because it gets a little loose on the end. Okay, this needle comes in this way, go around between the 2 needles and pull that hook loop up. We're going to purl all the way across. It's a good idea to just practice a little piece like this just to get the knack of it. So you know, get the stitching down, the process. Okay, so that we've just finished off purling. This would be considered the front side, and that's the back side. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to make a mitten. This is a toddler size mitten for a 2-year-old or 2.5 to 3-year-old. When my grandson came to visit, I made sure I got a tracing of his hand, and so that's kind of the size that I wanted to get. And so you can see that's the size that it is. At the bottom we have this rib. This is knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, and that's what gives you that nice little, so it's a little bit more, see how it kind of squeezes together here, and then this is that where we just knit it all the way around. I like to use these kind of needles. They have a point on both ends because we can knit like this so that we're actually knitting around in a circle, and I really like that. And I like to have a 5th needle, that way when I'm knitting from one needle to the next, I have that extra needle so I can keep my circle. So that really works great. Okay, we're going to cast on some stitches. I have like about a 3-foot tail, and this goes to our ball of yarn. Take it in your hand like this. This is the tail that goes to the ball of yarn. Come around the thumb so that it crosses right there. Take our needle and insert there, grab our tail, and come around, and then flip that over the edge and pull tight, and that is our first stitch. We're going to just continue that until we have 32 stitches. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 30, 31, 32. Okay, so we have 32 stitches. Now I have put it on one needle. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer these over so that I can divide it. Put 8 stitches on each one. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick up 8 stitches. I'm just going to move it over onto another needle. Okay, got 8 stitches on that one. Now I'm going to grab another needle, and we'll put 8 stitches on that one. Okay. We got 8 on those two. We need one more needle. We're going to transfer 8 stitches over onto this other needle. So when we're all done, we're going to have 4 needles. They each have 8 stitches on them. Okay, we are going to form our circle, and I want to flip it over so that my threads are on the right. I like to keep everything kind of in the middle of the needles so they don't accidentally fall off. Okay, we don't need to worry about the tail. I'm just going to shove that over here. This is what we're going to be working from. Now this is where our 5th needle comes in. We're going to start with our 5th needle. and we're going to start by knit 2. So first we hook in the first stitch and bring our thread around, pull it through, and we want that back stitch to slide off. Go into the second stitch, loop, bring the needle to this side and slide that back stitch off. Okay, we've just knit 2. Now I want to bring the thread around to this side because now we're going to purl 2. 1. Oops. Reach around there. Purl 2. Move our thread to the back. Knit 1. Knit 2. Bring your thread to this side. Purl 1. Purl 2. So we started those 8 with 2 knits. So it's knit, purl, knit, purl. So we're going to end off with a purl. Okay. Now this needle is free. So we're just going to switch hands with it. And I'm going to go on to the next one, and I'm going to just repeat what I've done here. It's going to be knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2. I'm just going to keep repeating that till we go all the way around. Okay, I backed out a little bit so you can see better how I'm manipulating these needles. So I like to keep this one so this end is on the bottom because, wait a minute, my thread is here. Hold on. This is where I need to be. This is the needle. Because here's my thread. Knit 1, knit 2. Bring the thread around, purl 1, purl 2. One, knit 2. Purl 1, purl 2. Now when you're just knitting with just 2 needles, you would have to stop and turn, but with this it's really cool. You just keep going. You just keep going round and round. Now I'm going to pull this a little tighter because it gets a little loose right there. Each time you free up a needle, the needle is available to go on to the next. So you just keep doing the same thing. Now I'm starting the second row, but really haven't had to change anything. I just keep going round and round and round. Just remember, it's always knit 2, purl 2, and you just keep going until you have the ribbed edge, and it could be 1.5 inches or 2 inches. You can decide how long you want it to be. Okay, now I've got as far as I want to go for my cuff, doing knit 2, purl 2. So now I'm just going to knit only. All the stitches from now on will be knitted, and I will do about 7 rows, so it's just knit, and that's going to flatten out our stitches so that we have this pattern here. And we'll just keep going round and round. it's at row 7 that we're going to put a marker for where the thumb goes. Okay, I've done my 7 rows of knit stitch, and I need to pick up 6 stitches. I'm going to come, this is where I ended up, so I'm going to come over here and go back. I'm going to pick up 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's going to be my holding place. Since there's only 2 left on that, I'm just going to go ahead and stick that, just transfer that over here, because there's only 2, it's probably going to fall off. Okay, so I've got 3 needles. This is the marker for the thumbnail, the thumb hole. Okay, and now I'm just going to continue knitting. Just continue going around. When I get around to the other side, I'm just going to jump across. I'm going to add some stitches, but I'll show you that in a second. Okay, we've gone all the way around, and now I need to continue knitting to join between. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cast on 4 stitches. Just do it this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, because I don't want a big gap, I'm going to go ahead and knit 1, because I don't want to leave a gap between here. So I'm going to bring this over here and knit the next one. Okay, now I've got a lot of stitches on here, so I'm going to go back and put some on a different needle, just to kind of keep my circle going and keep it even. Oops. Okay, so I'm back to, I got a complete circle. There's a hole right there where the thumb is going to be. So I'll just continue knitting my 5th needle. Now I've got 6 needles, 5 gray ones, and then the thumb one. Still, I just focus on the 2. And just continue to knit, and we're going to knit until we get way past the top of the fingers. We'll just keep going round and round. After we finish up the top, we'll come back and do the thumb. But right now, we're just going to ignore the thumb and just leave that hole right there. Get out there. This is a variegated yarn, so it changes color at random. So whatever pattern the colors make, that's the pattern that's going to be created. Okay, from the hole, I've done 18 rows, and I am past the fingertips, and so I want to start rounding it off, but I also want to change it so that where the thumb is, that's the side of the mitten. So what I want to do is I want to reduce it down to 2 needles. 4 right now. I mean, my thread tells me where I ended off, so even though this is done and that side's not, I'm going to go ahead And I'm going to put some of these stitches over to that side because I want to be center above the hole. Okay, that'll be good for that side. And we'll put these four on here. I'm not knitting, all I'm doing is transferring stitches because I want to have two needles, a front needle and a back needle. Okay, so if that, where the hole is, where the thumb's going to be, is a side, this is the other side, so I got to split this in half. So I'm going to put half of those on this needle. And then the rest of them I'm going to put on this needle. I'm just transferring stitches, that's all I'm doing, so that I can have one needle in the front and one needle in the back, because I want the mitten to be flat this way, because that's the, you know, the shape of the hand, because I want to round it off. So now that I've got that done, since I've already done the stitching right there, now this is going to be the needle that's going to replace that. So I'm going to go ahead and pick these up because these are already done. Okay, I'm back to where I ended up, so I'll just continue. Oh, that one's done. Okay, now I'm ready for the next one. So I'm just going to stitch to the end. I'm still knitting. Okay, when I get down to the last two stitches, I'm going to pick them both up at the same time, and that's how I'm going to reduce this side. So I can start rounding it. Now I turn it over, and as I start this side, I'm going to reduce this side by knitting these two together on the end. So that way I am, for the front and the back, I'm reducing it the same on both sides. Then I'll just continue knitting all the way across till I get to the end. Okay, I am at the last two stitches, so I'm going to pick up both of them at the same time. This is how we reduce it and round off the top. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And then we just knit across. I'm going to check my notes on my piece of paper here. For this size, I've kind of written my notes so that I can remember what I did on the last one. Okay, so I'm basically going to do the same thing that I did. When I get down to the last two, I'm going to stitch them together. Sorry, rounding out the fingers. Do that at the beginning and at the end. Now at the beginning of this row, so I'm going to pick up 2 stitches. And that's how we reduce it. Now we just knit across until we get to the last 2 stitches. And we'll just do that again. This is how we round out the top. Okay, we're down to 2 stitches, so we are going to do those 2 together. And you can see how we're no longer going straight up, we're starting to get smaller as we are rounding it. Okay, now I don't really want it to get any taller because I am at the height that I want to be, so I want to work on finishing it off. Don't forget to subscribe.